Well, business relations between the two countries run deep, as Patrick was saying, involving some of the world's biggest companies. Now, China has been Germany's largest trading partner for the last 6 years. Its volume of business accounts for almost 30% of the total trade between Beijing and the European Union. And the EU's biggest foreign investment into China also comes from Germany. The three largest car manufacturers and a chemical group account for 34% of it. Around 6,000 German companies are also operating right now in China. They're mainly in the chemical, electrical and transport manufacturing sectors. Well, let's bring in Andrew Small. He is the Senior Transatlantic Fellow with the German Marshall Fund's Asia Programme and also the author of a new book called No Limits, The Inside Story of China's War with the West. He joins us now from Berlin. Andrew, I see Scholz's opinion piece that was published just ahead of this trip says that Germany doesn't want to decouple from China but avoid over-reliance. I mean, that's quite the balancing act, especially given domestic sentiment back home. Do you think he can do it?
I mean, domestic sentiment back home, including from members of his own coalition, says that now is the time to start thinking about rebalancing. And I think the concern with this trip was certainly that many of the companies involved, from BASF to Siemens to the auto companies, Volkswagen, these are the companies that have actually been deepening their investment and economic ties with China during this time. And so I think the question is whether this is at least heading in the right direction. His economy minister has suggested, for instance, pulling back some of the investment guarantees to Chinese companies, looking at outbound investment screening as well for some of these companies to judge which investments make sense for the wider German economy, but he's really been resisting that. So I think the question is, yes, there's the intent to rebalance some of these dependencies, but what steps has he actually been willing to take to do that remains in question.
Well, Andrew, let's also then talk about the timing of this visit, because the Chinese Communist Party Congress was just a few weeks ago. Is this then to ensure some face-to-face time with Xi?
Well, I mean, I think that's been the important thing. Xi Jinping has, of course, just gone through this sweeping further power consolidation during the party congress. And so this is a juncture where it's understood that leader-level communications are critical. He's in a completely dominant position in the system. He hasn't had these face-to-face meetings with a G7 leader for 3 years now. And some of the messages that you saw at the press conference on Xinjiang, on Taiwan, and most importantly on Russia and the nuclear question was something that I think he wanted to deliver and were understood to be valuable to deliver to Xi Jinping in person.
Well, I wonder then, Andrew, within the context of that, how Germany's Western allies, especially Washington, for instance, given their relationship with Beijing, are viewing all of this?
I think the criticism from other European allies and to a certain extent from Washington as well has been that this has been a trip that looked a bit too much like business as usual. It was not particularly well coordinated with other European partners, in particular ahead of time. Scholz did send his top foreign policy advisor to Washington to make sure that some of the messages were straight on this. But I think this has looked like a very Germany-centric visit, notwithstanding the fact that I think it's understood on the US side and among other European leaders as well that some of these messages did need to be sent. But did the visit need to send this kind of symbolic demonstration with the companies that were going, that the deepening of economic ties was really still a priority? And did it need to come so soon after Party Congress, which did look like something of a political endorsement? I think those have been still the questions from the US side and from other European heads of government too.
Andrew Small there, a Senior Transatlantic Fellow with the German Marshall Fund's Asia Programme. Thank you for joining us and sharing your expertise with us on Al Jazeera, Andrew.
Thanks very much.